didn't lose a person. You lost the version of yourself that only existed because of them. Let me ask you something personal. Have you ever been totally fine and then one song played and suddenly you couldn't breathe? Or maybe you picked up your phone to text someone and then remembered you can't anymore. That feeling, that quiet, heavy, confusing feeling. That's what we're talking about today. Not heartbreak exactly. Something deeper than that. Emotional attachment and why it hurts in a way that's almost impossible to explain to someone who hasn't felt it. There was this guy. Let's call him James. He wasn't the kind of person who fell easily. He was careful, guarded, the type who kept his emotions locked up tight because he'd been hurt before, and he promised himself never again. But then someone came along. She didn't do anything dramatic. She didn't chase him. She just showed up consistently, gently. She remembered small things he mentioned once. She laughed at his bad jokes. She made him feel like maybe being open wasn't so dangerous after all. So slowly, without even realizing it, James started to open up. He started sharing things he'd never said out loud. Old memories, small fears, the kind of stuff you only tell someone when you trust them completely. And for a while, it felt like the most beautiful thing in the world. But here's what nobody tells you about emotional attachment. The moment you let someone become your safe place, you also hand them the power to be your most painful place. James started overthinking small things like why she took longer to reply, or why she seemed distant on a Tuesday for no reason. He'd lie in bed at night and replay conversations in his head, analyzing every word, every pause. Did I say something wrong? Is she losing interest? Am I too much? He wasn't crazy. He wasn't weak. He was just attached. And once you're attached, your brain can't just switch off. It keeps searching, keeps questioning, keeps trying to protect something that it knows is precious. Then one day, things started to change. Not dramatically, that's the painful part. It wasn't one big fight. It wasn't one clear moment. It was just a slow fade. Fewer messages, shorter replies. That warmth that used to be there started feeling like it was behind glass. He could see it, but he couldn't touch it anymore. And James did what most of us do in that situation. He tried harder. He reached out more. He explained himself. He asked questions. He apologized for things he wasn't even sure he did wrong. Because when you're emotionally attached, losing that connection doesn't just feel like losing a person. It feels like losing a part of yourself. One night, sitting alone in his room, James realized something. He wasn't even sad about her specifically in that moment. He was sad about the version of himself that existed around her. The James who laughed without thinking, who talked without filtering, who woke up in the morning and actually felt excited about the day. That version of him felt far away now. And that's the thing about deep emotional attachment that nobody really talks about. You don't just miss the person. You miss who you were with them. You miss feeling safe. You miss feeling seen. You miss the ordinary moments that felt extraordinary just because they were shared. But here's where the story shifts. James, weeks later, found himself journaling. He started writing down everything he felt, no filter, no judgment. And one night he wrote something that surprised even him. She didn't complete me. She just reminded me that I was capable of feeling this deeply. That sentence changed something in him because he realized the depth of what he felt wasn't a weakness. It was proof that he was alive, that he had a heart that could love fully. The problem wasn't that he attached. The problem was he never learned how to anchor himself while being attached to someone else. He was so focused on holding on to her, he forgot to hold on to himself. Hey, before we go deeper, if this is hitting close to home right now, if you've ever felt exactly what James felt, I want you to do one thing. Just hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell. Because every single week, I sit down and talk about the real stuff, the emotional stuff, the things that live in your chest at 2 a.m. that you can't quite put into words. This channel is built for people who feel deeply. And if that's you, you belong here. Now let's keep going. James didn't get over it in a week. That's not how this works. But he started doing something small every day. He started checking in with himself, not with her, with himself. How am I actually feeling right now? What do I actually need? Am I reaching out because I genuinely want to connect or because I'm scared? Those small questions, they changed everything slowly. He started to understand that emotional attachment, the real deep kind, isn't a mistake. It's not something to be ashamed of, but it has to be balanced. You have to remain a whole person even while you love someone completely. Okay, so let's talk about what's actually going on inside your brain when this happens, because it's not just feelings. There's real science behind this pain. First, dopamine. When you get close to someone emotionally, your brain starts releasing dopamine. That's the chemical connected to pleasure and reward. So being around that person, hearing from them, even just thinking about them, starts to feel good, like actually chemically good. So what happens when they pull away or things get uncertain? Your brain goes into withdrawal. Yes, literally like withdrawal. The same brain system that gets activated by addiction gets activated by emotional attachment. That's not poetic language, that's neuroscience. So when you're obsessively checking your phone, replaying conversations, Feeling anxious when they don't reply? That's not you being crazy. That's your brain desperately trying to get back to something that felt safe and rewarding. Second, the overthinking loop. Here's how it works. You feel uncertain, your brain tries to find an answer, it replays every memory and detail, it finds nothing certain, it feels more anxious, so it keeps replaying. It's a loop, and the harder you try to stop it by thinking more, the deeper you go. The only way to break the loop is to step out of your head and into your body. Movement, breathing, writing, something physical, something real. Third, emotional dependency. This is the big one. When someone becomes your primary source of emotional comfort, your brain starts to see them as necessary for survival, not consciously, subconsciously. So when that connection feels threatened, the emotional response is massive, disproportionate even, because your brain isn't just processing, I might lose this person, it's processing, I might lose my safety. That's why it hurts so much. That's why it feels bigger than logic can explain. So what do you actually do with all of this? Here's what I want you to take with you today. You can love deeply and still belong to yourself. Those two things don't have to be opposites. The goal isn't to stop feeling. The goal isn't to become cold or guarded or not care. People who say, I just don't get attached anymore, like it's a badge of honor, they're not healed. They're just hiding. The real growth is learning how to feel everything fully and still come home to yourself at the end of the day. That means having things that are yours, your goals, your friendships, your habits, your inner peace, things that exist completely independently of any person, so that when someone is in your life, they add to it, they don't complete it, and when things get uncertain or painful or confusing, you don't disappear into them, you stay grounded in yourself. One more thing, stop treating your emotional depth like a flaw. You feel deeply. That's not a weakness, that's a gift. The world needs more people who can actually feel, who can sit with someone in pain and truly understand it. You just have to learn how to carry that gift without letting it carry you.